right, guys. Welcome. Welcome, everybody, to the Brandon Defense Solutions YouTube channel. So, today we're going to have a little conversation about weapons defense training. All right. Something that I have a conversation about all the time with different people. And it is. It's a topic of discussion because there's people out here. There's some people out here that don't really believe that weapons defense training is even worth it, that it doesn't work. I'm here to tell you that I believe in it. Um, and but the conversation that I want to have about weapons defense training is this: if you're going to do weapons defense training, what you need to understand is that um, it's only beneficial to you if you actually train on a continual basis. You can't do weapons defense training one or two times and be like, okay, I'm good, or get out there in a situation and expect it to be effective, because it's not going to work. It's not going to be, 100% effective. So, what are we talking about here? When it comes to weapons defenses, we're talking about firearms. Okay, we're talking about edge weapons. All right, we're talking about certain things when it pertains to those. All right, what people need to understand is that when you're training these edge weapons and firearms for weapons defenses, what you have to understand is it is within close quarters. So you're talking anywhere from maybe 5 feet or closer. And a lot of times, especially edge weapons, these people get right up on you. They'll stick the knife right in your back. They'll stick it up to your chest, your belly, whatever the case is. And guess what they're doing? They're demanding something, whatever the case is. Okay. And at that time, when you are dealing with a situation where somebody comes up to you with a weapon, and it could be a gun, they could stick the gun in your belly, they could do whatever, understand that a lot of your natural processes start to occur. Panic sets in. It's a surprise usually. The person, if they get up that close to you, all right, it's up close and personal. Usually what happens is, you start to panic. So everything goes out the window. All of your inhibitions go out the window. All right. And especially if you're not training on a constant basis, this is where it can be a problem. Because then, let's say you go to do a defense and boom, you forgot, right? So the defenses kind of go out, everything goes out the window. You forgot how to do the technique, or you mess it up ever so slightly. Next thing you know, okay, they're pulling the trigger on the gun, they're sticking a knife in you. All right, you get a puncture wound, that could be fatal. If they hit vitals, you are in a lot of trouble. Okay, you're in a lot of trouble. If they fire that gun, especially within close range, you could still be in a lot of trouble. So, not to say that, you could be somebody that trains every day and somebody comes up to you with a weapon, it doesn't mean that you can't get killed, but you got to think about these things. You increase your chances of survival, I think, by a lot when you train a lot more in these things. All right. And the training too. Let's talk about practicality. You've got to be training in practical weapons defenses. You can't train in something, that might be ancient martial arts and you do 100,000 things before you do a single thing in order to defend against that weapon. Now, I'm not talking about disarms. Disarms are a totally different animal, and we'll get into that. But let's talk about just the defense itself. Okay? If you're going to train in weapons defenses, what you have to understand is it has to be something that's practical, something that's very simple, without having a bunch of steps, number one, but without having a bunch of, movements before you do one single thing. Defend against it. If it's a block, maybe a block and a punch or something like that. Something where it's real quick, you can react right away. Okay. Some people want to go into the whole disarm factor of it. That's different because now you're adding to the equation here. All right. Disarming is something totally different. And again, you have to be within close quarters of that person. You have to be close enough to be able to disarm. You have to be close enough to defend against it, but you also have to be close enough to disarm. And that's where we can really run into a problem. All right. And especially, again, if you're not training these things on a continual basis, all right, and it's not practical, or let's say the instructor doesn't know what they're doing. All right. And they jump around from one thing to the next without giving you the practical elements, especially if they're not having this conversation with you and saying, look, you got to practice this stuff every day. You have to do it. All right. If they're not having that conversation with you, all right, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. A lot of these instructors, they get out here, they're just out here to make money. They're gonna tell you, bits and pieces of things and not give you everything that's needed. When in fact that instructor should know what they're doing and what they're talking about and not have the dollar sign on their brain. Okay. And that's something else. But the practicality of the techniques is what you need to know. You got to have it. If you don't have it, that's a problem. All right. You got to train it. You got to do it right. Now, guns. Some guns have very light triggers on them. It doesn't take much, especially if you have somebody that you have an aggressor that approaches you and they have, and right away they're going to have their finger on the trigger. And most people like that, they are not very savvy when it comes to firearms. They don't understand, what gun safety is. They don't care. They're utilizing that gun for one thing. That's to rob you, to take you somewhere, whatever the case is. All right. Somebody comes up to you and they jam that gun into you. I mean, they could pull the trigger, very easily. It's a involuntary response that can happen. But they jam that gun into you and they're like, give me your money, whatever the case is. Let's talk about two things here. Let's talk about robbery. Let's talk about kidnapping. All right. You have two things here, robbery and kidnapping. Somebody comes up and they neither have a gun or they have a knife, whatever the case is. All right. And they want to rob you. Is it really worth, let's analyze this question. Is it really worth trying to fight them off if they just want something? If it's something like, I want your wallet. I want your money. What do you got? Give me your pockets. What do you got? You have a few dollars, give it to them. Give them your wallet. You want your car keys? Some people will fight over their car. Man, that's my brand new Mercedes Benz. Well, I don't know that I would really care at that point. Just give them the damn keys. That's what you have insurance for, right? It's not worth your life. Give it to them. Now, and actually, it's three things: robbery, kidnapping, and sexual assault. Now, if they say, you know, they want something sexual from you, I would say defend at that point. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to get out of there. Now, if it's kidnapping, somebody come up to you and they're like, get in that car over there right now, and they have the gun or the knife at you, whatever. Don't ever go anywhere with anybody. All right. Whatever weapons defense training you have at that point, get yourself together and fight, because more than likely, if they take you somewhere, you're not coming back. And that's the likelihood of it. You don't want to take that chance. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So, excuse me. So, with that being said, you really need to really think about this with weapons defense training. If you're going to train it, don't do it one or two times and think that you're going to be, proficient. And when you do train it, I'm going to say this, use training implements. Okay. Use training implements, as such as, training knives, training guns, like blue guns, red guns, rubber knives, plastic, whatever the case is. And when you train this, pressure test it. All right. In fact, if you're going to pressure test guns, utilize airsoft or semi-munitions guns and pressure test this. See how you can defend against this. Create scenarios. Okay. Train these things. Pressure test this stuff. This is good stuff. Okay. To do. This is definitely good stuff to do. I know here at Brandon Defense Solutions, we do it. All right. We utilize airsoft guns. We have some courses that we actually will pressure test this stuff. Get into a fight. Get into a situation where it's a fight for your life, and you have to try to keep from getting shot. You have to defend. But when you do that, that increases your chances, okay, of perfecting the techniques much better. All right. It's like muscle memory. Like you're training, you're training elbows, you're training palm strikes, you're training all kinds of different techniques. It's going to help you. In the end, it's going to help you. It's not to say that, you train 2 or 3 years, for 2 or 3 years down the road that you can't be killed, but it increases your chances of survival. At least in my mind, it does. You have a much better chance of survival when you train and you're continually training in these things, not just 1 or 2 sessions. You've got to train these things on a continual basis. I think if you do 1 or 2 sessions, it's pointless. It really is. It's pointless. So, and I take this stuff seriously. Being retired law enforcement, I've seen people being victims over and over again. And it sucks. It sucks to see, to see that. And the majority of these people don't have no training whatsoever. So what do? You got to get in there and train. Training is essential. So with that, I'm going to leave you with this. Anybody that's looking to do any kind of training with Brandon Defense Solutions, they want to do just training in general, come to Brandon Defense Solutions, especially weapons defense training. We do it. We do it here. All right. Get in contact with us. All right. 302-258-3983. Also hit us up on our email, Brandon Defense Solutions @gmail.com. All right. Hit us up on our Facebook. All right. A Facebook business page, Brandon Defense Solutions. Hit us up on Messenger. We'd be more than happy to get back to you if you want to communicate, over the Facebook Messenger. All right. So with that being said, if you like this channel, you like the content that we have, because we're going to post content here and there from here on out, hit the like button and subscribe. And until then, please be safe. All right. Walk in peace. Thank you.